Welcome to WCMU's Quiz Central. Our featured teams tonight are Tawas and Cheboygan. Don't go away.
Support for Quiz Central is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com, on campus at the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kulhalvi Event Center.
Good luck to both of our teams. Let's play Quiz Central.
Chopin.
Correct. All right, your next toss-up.
The lottery.
Right.
The Stranger.
You are correct. Traverse City Central hangs on. They are our season champions. Hi there, and thanks for tuning in to Quiz Central. I'm your host, Steve Smith. And with us tonight, teams from Cheboygan and Tawas High Schools. Nice to have them here. They are 2 of 48 teams competing again this season. The Quiz Central teams are divided into 4 divisions based on school size. Each division will have a champion, and one of those teams will become this season's overall winner. Central Michigan University makes scholarships available to our winners. Here's Rick to tell us more about that.
The 4 starters and 3 alternates of the division championship teams will each receive a 2-year, $4,000 room and board scholarship from Central Michigan University Residence Life. In addition, 4 lucky Quiz Central seniors will receive textbook scholarships from the CMU Bookstore. And a special thanks to CMU Enrollment and Student Services, which provides lunch for our contestants and their traveling party.
Right, thank you very much, Rick. Let's get right into the game with the Maroon and Gold round. The Maroon and Gold round is a 2-minute timed round. You get a chance to answer as many questions as you possibly can. If the team ringing in misses the question, the opposing team will have a chance to respond. There's no talking among team members, and correct answers are worth 10 points. Good luck, here you go. What document, which was declared null and void by Pope Innocent III, was signed at Runnymede? Next question. In May 2019, what leader of the nationalist BJP party and former governor of Gujarat defeated Rahul Gandhi to remain Prime Minister of India? Next question. What author of the plays Dr. Faustus and Edward II was stabbed to death in 1593? Nick, tell us.
William Shakespeare.
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. How about Cheboygan? We'll find out. In 1558, the dome collapsed at what Constantinople church, a former Orthodox cathedral? Nick, Tawas?
Dome on the Rock?
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. It's an Islamic mosque that is now a museum. Cheboygan. Go ahead, Adam.
The Hagia Sophia?
That is correct. What creator of the TV show Alias directed the first 2 films in the 2009 Star Trek series, as well as 2019's Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker? Go ahead, Logan.
J.J. Abrams.
You are right. A Hanna-Barbera cartoon was named after what Jellystone Park resident who was often warned against stealing picnic baskets? Amy, tell us.
Yogi Bear.
That's right, one of my favorites. What character who was adopted as a runt by Fern Arable is deemed some pig by the title character of E.B. White's Charlotte's Web? Nick, Tawas.
Pass.
All right, how about Cheboygan? Luke.
Charlotte?
Nope, sorry. All right, what cells whose namesake doctrine was opposed by the reticular theory have dendritic extensions and are the functional unit of the nervous system? Logan, Tawas.
Neurons.
That is correct, and we are at the end of that round. All right, kind of a slow start there, but Tawas, you have a 30-10 lead at this point. Questions that were missed. The character that was deemed some pig was Wilbur. The document signed at Runnymede was the Magna Carta. The leader of the nationalist BJP party and Prime Minister of India is Narendra Modi, and the author that was stabbed to death in 1593 was Christopher Marlowe. All right, nice round there. Let's turn right to our teams now. Tawas, we'd like to know a little bit more about you. Bowden, why don't you take the lead?
Hello, I'm Bowden Cabell from Tawas Area High School, and I play the trombone.
Hello, my name is Logan Angel Madrigal Silver from Tawas Area High School, Lafayette Plains.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Webster. I'm from Tawas Area High School, and I play trumpet in the band.
Hi, I'm Amy Nguyen. I'm a senior at Tawas Area High School, and I run cross country.
All right, thank you for that. Tawas's alternates are Neil Peterson and Sean Mendiola. They're coached by Susan Brzezkowski. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And now we turn to the team from Cheboygan and Luke.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm a sophomore at Cheboygan. I run cross country and I'm on student council.
Hi, I'm Adam from Cheboygan. I'm a sophomore and I'm in the choir.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a sophomore at Cheboygan and I run cross country and play soccer.
Hi, I'm Eden from Cheboygan High School. I'm a senior and I am in the musical and I run track.
All right, thank you for being here. The alternates for Cheboygan are Luke Lyons and Victoria West. The team's coach is Dave Hines. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And with that, we get right back into the action with the kickoff round. The kickoff round is a combination of toss-up and bonus questions. The team that correctly answers the toss-up question will be asked a bonus. Then we go back to a toss-up question for both teams. Toss-up questions need an individual response, but team members can consult on the bonus. Captains, remember that the answers must come from you on the bonuses unless you defer to a colleague. Here is your first toss-up question. What phylum includes sea cucumbers and sea stars? Logan, Tawas.
Invertebrate.
Nope, sorry. Cheboygan. Go ahead, Eden.
Sponges.
Nope, echinoderms. All right, another toss-up. What state capital, whose original name was Waterloo, is home to Lyndon Johnson's Presidential Library and the flagship University of Texas campus? Nick, Tawas.
Dallas?
Nope, sorry, Cheboygan. Elizabeth.
Austin?
That's right, and here is your bonus. In November 2018, the UN described the famine in what country as maybe the worst in recent history due to its ongoing civil war with Houthi rebels?
Syria?
Yemen.
That's correct. Back to both teams. What novel, a prequel to the 2019 book The Testaments, depicts a secret police force called the Eyes of God and was set in Gilead by Margaret Atwood? That is The Handmaid's Tale. Another toss-up. What African country's Siwa Oasis is located between the Katara Depression and the Great Sand Sea? Egypt is your answer there. What number of acres that freedmen were promised along with a mule after the Civil War is also the number of thieves that Ali Baba stole from? Nick, Tawas.
40.
That's right. Here's a bonus. In June 2019, what U.S. city imposed a ban on the sale of e-cigarettes, even though it's home to the market leader Juul?
Detroit?
Nope, sorry, San Francisco. Next question. What planet whose Tharsis bulge is home to Olympus Mons is orbited? Nick, Tawas.
Mars.
Right, here you go with another bonus. The peacock represented what Greek goddess whose roles included the protector of marriage?
Hera.
You are right. Back to both teams. The first female U.S. governor, Nellie Taylor Ross, led what state, which was also the first to allow women to vote? Luke, Cheboygan.
Wyoming.
That's right. Here's a bonus. What year in which George Pendleton and Andrew Johnson ran for vice president saw George McClellan fail to prevent Abraham Lincoln's re-election?
1860.
Oh, you're close. 1864. All right. Greasy, vitreous, waxy, and dull are among the varieties of what quality, which is the way light interacts? Luke, Cheboygan.
Luster.
That's right, and a bonus. What novella begins aboard a ship named the Nellie, describes Charles Marlowe's efforts to find Mr. Kurtz in Africa, and was written by Joseph Conrad?
Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness.
That's right. Back to both teams. What libertarian Michigan congressman lost support from the DeVos family in May 2019 after declaring that he supported impeaching Donald Trump? That person is Justin Amish. Next question as a toss-up. The metric system was invented in what country, the birthplace of scientists Nick. Tawas?
France.
That's right, and a bonus. What river, which flows into the Ohio River just west of Evansville, forms much of the border between Illinois and Indiana?
Mississippi.
Nope, it's the Wabash. Okay, both teams. The Brunswick Manifesto of 1792 was supposed to protect what king and husband of Marie Antoinette, who was executed during the French Revolution? Go ahead, Eden Cheboygan.
King Louis XIV.
That is incorrect. How about Tawas? Go ahead, Logan.
King Louis XV.
Nope. You're both, you keep going, sooner or later you're going to get it. It was Louis the 16th. So, and we are at the end of our round there. All right, we got a good game. It's a 10-point game. Tawas has a 10-point lead, 70-60 over Tawas. So we are going to take a quick break and see if either team can score a perfect 10 when we come back. Thank you.
Preschool gives children the foundation they need to be successful in school and in life. But more than half of kids in the U.S. do not have the opportunity to attend a pre-K program, making them 25% more likely to drop out of school before graduation. The PBS Kids 24/7 channel provides quality programming, games, and hands-on activities that are proven to develop early learning skills.
When you say the word PBS, immediately quality comes to mind. And not just quality, but a massive cultural diversity. Everybody here in the United States gets a look at a global culture, which is phenomenally presented. What makes PBS so strong is that it is a product of the support of the public. It stands out as a public service. It reaches out and grabs a nation and it grabs a world, and I think that's wonderful.
All right, welcome back to Quiz Central and the Perfect 10 round. Teams, the Perfect 10 gives you 60 seconds to answer 10 questions from your choice of clues to 3 categories. The opposing team gets 30 seconds to tackle all unasked, missed, or passed questions. Tawas has the lead, so Cheboygan, you'll be going first. The categories today are Italian dressing, Luna Light, and this category won't kill you, it will make you stronger. Italian dressing, Luna Light. This category won't kill you, it will make you stronger. Which one are you going to select?
Yeah, we'll do the third one.
Okay, the third one.
The third one, which would be Friedrich Nietzsche. Answer the following about a philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. He was born in this century.
19th century.
That's correct. Language in which he wrote most of his works.
German.
Right. English translation of his phrase, Gott ist tot.
God is dead.
Right. Former capital of West Germany, whose university he attended.
Cologne.
No. German opera composer whose case is the subject of an 1880 book by Nietzsche.
Bach.
No. His first book contrasted comedy with this literary genre.
Fiction.
Nope. Concept sometimes rendered in English as Superman.
Hope.
Nope. Author of The World as Will and Representation, whom he admired.
Hegel.
Nope. 2-word Latin title of his 1888 autobiography.
John the Baptist.
That's wrong. And it's also the end of your turn. All right, Tawas, answer the following about philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Former capital of West Germany, whose university he attended.
Frankfurt?
Nope. German opera composer whose case is the subject of an 1888 book by Nietzsche.
Beethoven?
Nope. His first book contrasted comedy with this literary genre.
Tragedy?
You are right. Concept sometimes rendered in English as Superman.
Übermensch?
Right. Author of The World as Will and Representation, whom he admired. Oh, no. We are done. The answer on that one is Schopenhauer. Okay, let's see here. The German opera composer Wagner, the former capital of West Germany was Bonn. Let's see here. The two-word Latin title of his 1888 autobiography was Ecce Homo, and Nietzsche inspired this composer's tone poem, Also sprach Zarathustra, who would have been Richard Strauss. All right, we have 2 categories left, and we are going to find out which ones Tawas would like. The 2 remaining categories are Italian dressing and Luna Light. Which one would you like?
Luna Light.
Luna Light. All right, Moonlight is the actual category. Answer the following about Moonlight. Composer of the Moonlight Sonata.
Skip.
Okay. Star of the films Moonlight and Green Book.
Skip.
Author of Moonglow and the Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay.
Mark Twain.
Nope. Body that produces most of the light reflected by the moon.
The sun.
Sun.
Yep. Moonlight is a track on this singer's Dangerous Woman.
Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande.
Right. Largest Great Lake where the ship Moonlight is wrecked.
Lake Superior.
That's right. Being that transforms into a wolf during full moons.
Werewolf.
Yeah. Moonlight Drive is a song by this group led by Jim Morrison.
Doors. The Doors.
Yep. British playwright of Moonlight and The Dumbwaiter.
Will.
Nope. And we are done. All right, Cheboygan. You know the drill. Answer the following about Moonlight. The composer of the Moonlight Sonata.
Beethoven.
Right. Star of the films Moonlight and Green Book.
Skip.
Author of Moonglow and the Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay.
Skip.
British playwright of Moonlight and The Dumbwaiter.
Shakespeare.
Nope. And Claude Debussy's work whose name means moonlight.
Lunar.
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. The answer there would have been Claire de Lune. The British playwright was Harold Pinter. The author of Moonglow was Michael Chabon. And the star of the films Moonlight and Green Book was Mahershala Ali. I think I'm saying that right. Ali is the last name. But that, again, changes our score a bit. Tawas still in the lead, 140 to 100. And that moves us now into the home stretch round. The home stretch round is another combination of toss-up and bonus questions. The team that answers correctly on the toss-up will be asked a bonus. Then we go back to a toss-up question for both teams. Your first question of the home stretch round: what labor union, which promoted the idea of one big union, was founded in Chicago in 1905 and had members known as Wobblies? Nick, Tawas.
The IWW.
That is correct. Here is a bonus. What author, whose last novel was 1962's The Reivers, depicted members of the Compson family in Mississippi in his novel The Sound and the Fury?
Kuntz.
Nope, Faulkner. All right, what unit, the amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water? Amy, Tawas?
Calorie.
That's right, and another bonus. Glasses that translate faces into emojis have been shown to improve what condition of impaired language and social development?
Autism.
That's right. All right, back to both teams. In what kind of building would one find a narthex and an apse, as well as a nave, that intersects with a transept in a cruciform shape near an altar? Nick, Tawas.
A church?
That's right. Here's another bonus. What theologian chaired the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984 for his anti-apartheid activism?
I got it. Mandela.
Yeah. Desmond Tutu. Correct answer. Next question, a toss-up for both teams. What man from New York, who wrote the Federalist Papers with Alexander Hamilton and James Madison? Adam,
John Jay.
You are right, and here's your bonus. What Scottish physicist created a thought experiment centering on a demon who can violate the second law of thermodynamics?
John Adams.
Nope. James Maxwell. A toss-up. What song in which the Miami air is hot from summer rain states, "I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya," and is by Shawn Mendes and Luke Cheboygan.
Sorry, Senorita.
That's right. Another bonus. Harry Beck designed a schematic map of what city's tube, the world's first subway system?
London.
That's right. Back to both teams. What word names the college Ronald Reagan attended, is the motto of California, is Greek for "I have found it," and may have been Nick Tawas?
Eureka.
That's correct, and a bonus. Yuri Andropov was the longtime chairman of what Soviet security agents and Cold War rival of the CIA?
The KGB.
That's right. Both teams again play on this one. What man who founded the Center for Auto Safety after writing "unsafe at any speed" ran as the Green Party's presidential candidate in 2000? Nick Tawas.
Jill Stein?
No. Cheboygan?
Is it a man?
The answer, Ralph Nader. What adjective? And we will not get to the next question there. All right, we continue to have a close game, but Tawas has a 200 to 130 point lead. We will take one more break, and when we come back, we'll play the final countdown, so stay with us.
Our great state of Michigan is truly one of a kind. From the city streets to the small towns, you can see it all right here on Destination Michigan. We'll crisscross the state in search of the sights, the sounds, and of course the people that make Michigan the greatest state in the land. Take in the scenery, meet the people, and experience the wonder of the Great Lakes state. Come along with us as we share your stories on Destination Michigan.
Unlock your newest member benefit. Over 1,000 episodes of your favorite PBS shows. American Masters, Antiques Roadshow, Nature, Nova, Masterpiece. Watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere. Become a member, sign in, and start streaming today.
All right, this is it, the Quiz Central final countdown. Another 2-minute rapid fire round. The first player to ring in gets a shot at answering the question. If you get it wrong, we turn to the opposing team for a chance to answer. The first question, what mountain range, which extends as far east as the Cap de Creux, what surrounds Andorra and separates the Iberian Peninsula from the rest of Europe? Logan, Tawas. Need an answer.
Spanish.
Nope. How about Cheboygan? Go ahead, Adam.
The Pyrenees.
That's right. What author described a group of people who are confronted with a mysterious bag of gold coins in his story, The Man That Corrupted Hadleyburg? We'll move on to the next question. What force whose coefficient varies with angle of attack acts perpendicular to the direction of flow to counter gravity? Go ahead, Logan. Tell
Lift.
us. I'm sorry?
Lift.
That is correct. Maundy Thursday is the day before what Christian holiday on which the Stations of the Cross are often prayed? Elizabeth Cheboygan.
Is it Good Friday?
That's right. What Polynesian trickster hero who lassoed and bludgeoned the sun with his magic fishhook to slow it down? Luke Cheboygan.
Maui.
That's right. What politician gave radio broadcasts known as Talk to the People during his time? Adam Cheboygan.
FDR.
I'm sorry?
FDR.
Nope, I'm sorry, incorrect. Let me finish this here. Time of mayor of New York City. Go ahead.
De Blasio?
No, LaGuardia. Oops, excuse me, we'll find out, but I'm going to guess it's LaGuardia. All right, what former Cal quarterback led the Los Angeles Rams to the Super Bowl after the 2018 season? Next question. What entities, such as Facebook's proposed Libra, are decentralized forms of money often verified using blockchains that include, go ahead, Nick, Tawas.
Cryptocurrency.
That is correct. What month of the year is the setting of two paintings by Francisco Goya, the second of which depicts an execution by firing squad? Go ahead, Logan.
December.
No. Cheboygan, go ahead, Elizabeth.
January.
Nope, it's May. It is May. But Tawas hangs on to win. Congratulations to you. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Okie dokie. Here, let's see. The politician that gave his radio broadcasts was actually the mayor of New York City, and as my premonition told me, it was LaGuardia. Former Cal quarterback was Jared Goff, and the author that we were looking for was Mark Twain. But a fun game. Nice to have both teams here. Let's give them both a good round of applause. And that does it for this edition of Quiz Central. Until next time, like us on Facebook or watch your favorite game online as we feature the best and brightest high school students from around the state. Thanks for tuning in.
Support for Quiz Central is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com, on campus at the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kulhalvi Event Center.